This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so recording started. What we want to do, we want to support this kind of control that shows the multi-selectable list. It shows items when I click here, and I can select specific items. Let me first start with new test again. It was for Syncfusion website, so I use it name. It's a web test. Let me use Chrome. Okay, I use RVL. So I start from recording something. My page is going to be in initial state, so I'm refreshing. So my selection is empty, like it should be by default. So in some default state. Okay, now I hit record. Recording started. Click in the input. I see my action is recognized. Input click is here, and click basketball here. I see that basketball is not recognized in this case, so my click is ignored. So I click again, and in this case, I use learn. Learn is available here. I'm learning. A basketball is not here anymore, so I'm learning, for example, badminton. And now if I click on it, so I selected badminton. I don't need these two actions. I don't need this action. I just hit del to delete. So I have click on input and select badminton and hit finish. Append to end. Now, what I noticed here is I have basketball and badminton already selected. And if I click here, already selected items don't show up here anymore. So if it's already here and I try to select it, it will fail because no such item is available. I'm returning to initial state by refreshing the page. And what happened? I appended my script. It has click on input, and I have one more object, badminton, that has no action. I didn't record any action, but it's learned. So I may have a do click here. But before running this piece, it's expected to click on badminton. Let me look at its XPath. What I see that XPath contains some hardly readable identifier. And this ID is probably dynamic. I may try to flash it, and I think it will fail to find it. But I cannot flash in this case because if I remove focus, it hides this window, right? So I need to play this piece, and what I will find out is that it cannot click on badminton because its XPath has changed. So I'm investigating further to understand what I can do in this case. So this piece failed. I'm going to use Web Spy. Go to tracking mode, Control T. Find this badminton, hit Control T again. So I can see that ID is really different. It looks like I may use another attribute. It's game2, and this one is probably the one that's ID of this value. But what I would prefer to use, I would prefer to use the text in this case. Unfortunately, I see that node that I highlighted is not selected here in the left tree. This means that the node is probably dynamic. It only exists while dropdown is shown, and after that it disappears. For example, if I just as a comparison, if I track some node that doesn't disappear, then you see it's selected here. So I may see its position in the DOM tree and its properties. So what I have now is I want to modify the XPath to use the text. So for other nodes, Rapise automatically generates this. So in general, you may just use this kind of XPath by just copying it. But in our case, we need just to go and change it explicitly because it's a tricky use case. Okay, we go. Oh, we stop tracking. We don't need spy. We stop tracking. We go to Rapise. And we see that we need a list item containing badminton to be used. And we need it to be li. This means text of the node. And here I want to use badminton. So I want to find a node containing the text badminton. So this time, the XPath should be more resilient, and I should be able to execute this piece. So badminton is now selected. Well, I want to show another way of selecting an arbitrary item. So in this case, the value is hard-coded in the XPath. So if I want to select another value, there are two possible ways. Way number one. Clone object itself and edit XPath. Let me change it this way. So it expand the whole line this way. So I'm cloning badminton. I'm going to use hockey. And this object is supposed to select click on hockey. So I'm just using selecting it here. So its properties are here in the properties pane. Editing XPath, changing badminton with hockey. That's it. So now what I can do, I may again click on input to show the drop down and then click the hockey. So now after running this script, I should have both badminton and hockey selected. I'm refreshing page because as I discovered earlier, if item is already selected, it's not available in the drop down. So for this more universal use case, I may need some additional logic to be added. I'm not going to do it right now. Okay, so I'm running script and it uses two ways for selecting an item. One is using learned object, another is used cloned object. So we have badminton and hockey selected. Now I'm going to use the way number 3. I want my existing object to select to use other XPath than executed. So way or it's way number 2 in my numbering system. So way number 2, change XPath of the object before accessing it. Okay, so what I'm going to do, again, I'm going to use rvel set locator op. It's a locator of the object. Object I'm going to change is, for example, hockey. Here it is. And the value I'm going to change is xpath. So I want to edit this value and change hockey with what else is there?
Cricket.
Oh, cricket. Right. Cricket.
Yep.
Okay, so now we modified the object and we are repeating the same couple of actions. So it will click on input and then it would click on the object hockey. It's object ID, but the object will use this XPath. So actually, this hockey will point to cricket. Now let me just play. I didn't refresh, so it would fail because no badminton will be available in the drop-down. So that's an expected failure. So I'm going to manually refresh and stop script execution and then play again. So it should first select badminton, then hockey, then cricket. That's it.
Great.
So maybe one cosmetic thing I would do here to make it more perfect is rename clone clone object and rename it to drop-down item. So it's not hockey, it's something more universal. So I'm cloning it. Drop-down item. It will be its name. So I'm going to use exactly the same object, but the same logic, but with object drop-down item. Drop-down item. Here, and let me use rugby this time. Or say tennis. I believe it should be there. I didn't see it, but okay. So in this case, I will be able to remove these two objects from the object tree if I need to use it, and always use this pattern to select something. So it's a sort of cleaner approach. Going back, refreshing. I may do this refresh to be performed, forcibly performed, but for now I'm not doing this. Cricket and tennis. So all three ways are working now. So when you need it, you may choose the one